You're listening to the audio portion of Workshop Wednesdays. Workshop Wednesdays is a free live discussion about topics affecting accountants, bookkeepers, and business owners. You can join the ABO group in Facebook to participate live Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Just search for ABBO in Facebook. This podcast is brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com, where you will learn, grow, and build a thriving bookkeeping practice. We have hundreds of lessons with almost every aspect of the industry. Start your free month today at Schoolofbookkeeping.com.
Well, welcome to another Workshop Wednesday brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com, helping you be the best bookkeeper that you can be, because we have casual conversations for serious workflows. And you may notice that Rachel looks a little different today.
Rachel, you really need to shave. Yeah.
So subbing for Rachel, who was subbing for Carrie. So this, I feel maybe I'm cursed or something. Like I can't keep a co-host to save my soul here. No, Rachel had a client emergency meeting. We definitely understand that when clients need to meet, they need to meet, whether you have a workshop scheduled or not. So I reached out to Matthew, and he was gracious enough to join us here today, friend of the show. So Matthew, last we saw you, we were talking about the pricing updates in QuickBooks. So it's almost been like almost a year now. What have you been up to? What's going on in your world?
First, I'd like to thank you, the manager of the team here, for bringing me up from the AAA leagues up to the big game. Thank you so much. No, life's been good. I've been rebuilding my business, Parkway Business Solutions, still working actively with LedgerSync, helping them build out some pretty cool tools that go above and beyond just like the fetching aspect of it. Been working with a lot of other apps as well, with Not the Only App Roundtable with Richard Ropa Roberts, and just getting back into doing more of the community educational building stuff, which I truly love. And again, I know I was joking, but I'm more than happy to pretend to be Rachel and be part of this conversation.
There we go. And Matthew, if you don't know Matthew, he's one of the givers of the community. If you think of I don't know what book that is, but there's givers and takers. He is definitely one of the most giving people that I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. And I hope I can be just as giving as you when I grow up.
Yeah. So I was really excited about today's topic when you reached out to me. And I have to be honest, I was like a little nervous. Oh my gosh, I haven't used some of this stuff yet. So I better probably do some extra research. So
yeah. So last week we had talked a little bit about the QuickBooks Online mobile app and gave a little overview of what you can do. I shared this article, which I will share again, which has a side-by-side comparison of what you can do in the QuickBooks Online mobile app versus as far as iOS versus Android, as well as the mobile versus the tablet. So going down, and I was noticing again, I like this one here where it says you can add an account and nobody can do it, right? I would just delete this whole row altogether. I would think that would be a little bit more make sense there.
Maybe it's along that lines of, if you purposely put typos in your post, you get more engagement.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I would love to ask your audience, out of everybody, that like, what devices are you specifically using? And I'm an iPhone person. So is anybody really using this actively on an iPad? And how do you like it if you are?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because especially on the iOS, and I know nothing of Android other than how annoyed I get when it shows up green in a group chat. But as far as what the difference is between the tablet versus the mobile device on an Android, but I know in Apple land, you have to either you have a universal app, or you have one for one platform and one for the other. And I assume that Android is the same, where you could potentially have a universal app or individual ones for the other, which makes it very difficult to develop, to code and develop. It was like, now I have this problem on this particular flavor of my app, which makes it challenging. But I know when I worked at Intuit, that was one of their initiatives, is to make a universal app so that they only have to code it once, and it gets deployed in the App Store simultaneously. It's on the same update, so they don't have to do that. I assume that Android is the same. But yes, I'd be curious too. Anybody that's watching, what devices do you and your client use, right? So
Yeah.
do you find that it is there? Because as we were talking right before the show, this is not really something that a lot of accounting pros use, teach, or talk to their clients. Matt, is that what you would
Totally. I'm going to tell on myself a little bit here, but for the longest time, I've been griping and complaining about the fact I don't understand why we don't have the ability to do electronic signatures on estimates.
Yeah.
Because in my role as an accountant, we don't usually use the mobile device for most of our stuff unless it's like a last minute need. And then I popped the thing open today and was like, wait a second, what? I can get a digital signature right here on the device? And then they even told me on my iPhone, would you like to create a Siri shortcut to create an invoice? I'm like, what? And you talk about workflow. That's amazing what you can do.
which is really cool. Some of the things that you can ultimately do with the app. And this is one of those things that probably say 10 years ago, add into it when desktop was king and in the QuickBooks
Yeah.
space, and QuickBooks Online was trying to get some foothold.
Kind.
And that was the thing. It was, okay, we have this whole idea of this mobile app experience. And there was this initiative. It was just called One App, which would be just
Yeah.
the whole concept of entering data in one place and your QuickBooks ecosystem is updated, right? So they tried different apps to synchronize with QuickBooks Desktop and those types of things. But ultimately, this is what QuickBooks Online is really best suited for. And one of the things that it stands above these extra add-ons and integrations and those types of things with desktop is that it is, as long as you have an internet connection, you can put your data in anywhere as long as you can do it, right? Like what we're talking about here. There is nothing in here about bills, which we'll talk about next week about the expenditure side of things. But as long as your app can do it, anything that you do in the app shows up in your QuickBooks. Anything you shows up in your QuickBooks or you do in your QuickBooks shows up in your app. So vice versa, right here. And as Matt was saying, and that's what we'll talk about first, is the whole idea of, let me turn this off here. And come on.
I mean, the whole idea here, right, is you've got this database in the sky. This is the fundamental change from a desktop to cloud-based environment. You have a database in the sky that's holding all of your accounting data, and Intuit was wise enough to recognize if we make that database accessible with different applications, different pieces, now you can actually really fine tune and customize the accounting around the needs of the business, where it used to be before, you just got whatever reports you could. And now, having done that, now the accessibility through all these different devices is just where the power is. It's awesome.
Exactly. Speaking of power, my secondary monitor, which is the one that I'm sharing,
Okay.
is acting really crazy. There we go. Okay. This happens every once in a while, and now I cannot use my, what'd I do? Stop that. Okay. Shoo. Yeah, this happens with my computer every once in a while. I have a secondary monitor, and it just is powered by a USB-C. It doesn't even plug into the wall type of thing. And for some reason, every once in a while, my touchpad or my mouse doesn't click. So
I think it was my fault, and Linda will appreciate this. Trying to get my big head through the stream took up too much voltage and caused it to die down on you. So
we will go with that.
Okay. So we're going to talk about the app itself, which thank you so much for having it pulled up and be able to see it. Like, how cool is that?
There we go. There we go. Which I gotta stare at the phone. Okay. So this is, yes, there's moving. Okay. So this is actually just as Matthew was talking about, this is the estimates, right? I just wanted to take a look here at all of the things that you can do as far as the topics, but we just want to talk about today the sales section here.
Money in.
I can't pinch and make it bigger, so sorry if you guys squint.
It's a good size. I can see it on live, so it's a good size. People can see it.
Excellent. So invoices, estimates, customers, and leads. If you're using a newer version with the customers and the leads, sales receipts, invoice payments, bank deposits. Now, as a bookkeeping professional and in the accounting industry, what is your thoughts about bank deposits showing up under sales?
If I had a choice on this as the accountant, I'd probably would like the ability to streamline what they're allowed to access through this or not, which seems weird. It's one of those sometimes when we're able to keep our clients out of aspects of the books, we can help them get further along. Bank deposits, I see why, because it's about they're trying to suggest that you need to match the money that's coming in. So if you have a
Yeah.
sales receipt, trying to match it up. But I prefer that they don't touch that usually. I don't know. I'd love to hear from other
Right.
people. Again, when you're watching this now or later, put your comments in. That's what you
Yeah. I
think,
mean,
whether they should.
because that's typically one of the things that gets business owners in trouble is they put in bank deposits as revenue when they're skipping over invoices, customers, and invoice payments. Their workflows, they break their workflows by doing that, go right in the bank deposit, which I guess if they would just change sales to money in, that could be a way to distinguish that. Or if they put it down somewhere else,
Yeah.
banking down somewhere else here. But so if we go into estimates, these are estimates that are synchronized directly with the QuickBooks file. If I could actually click on, no, of course, now my
Yeah.
mouse is broken again.
As it goes, that's reloading for you. So what I did earlier, which was neat, is I went into my QuickBooks Online. And
Mhm.
again, as an accountant, sometimes we have to select the right one because we can get to our clients, everything else. But
Right.
went in and created an estimate like you're seeing. I could select any of the items just like you'd expect, pull it all up. And it's like, I cannot overstress that get signature.
Yeah. Like
Oh,
right down here, get signature. So you're standing in front of someone. I wonder if I turned it hoping it would reorient itself, but apparently it does not.
but just a vertical, it gives you more vertical space. Right? So,
And you can sign it right there. Now, I'm curious what happens to the estimate in your QuickBooks when you do this, right? So I'm going to hit done. You can do other things like convert it to an invoice, right then
yep.
and there. So I'm just going to hit done there. So there's a little signature is saved in here. I go back down there. Now it's recorded in my squiggle and what date that actually took place. Now I got to
I'm going to
unplug.
check in mine because I think where you were going with this was if I was to then go into my own online computer version and go
Yes.
look, I see that signature saved on that
Right.
because I was wondering the exact same thing earlier. And let's see, attachments. Yes. So the signature, how cool is that? Goes on as an attachment inside of QuickBooks Online. Super stoked to see that.
So it's down in here. Yep.
Yep.
There it is. There's the
That's cool.
squiggle,
That's cool.
right?
I would actually prefer that it's showing a whole document with a signature on it would be
Mhm.
preferred because there could be an argument saying that, oh, you just attached my signature there. You didn't actually like,
That's not my squiggle,
yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
but that
My squiggle is
this
more vertical.
exactly. My ex is not that way.
Exactly.
But you can see the history here. You can see that it was accepted. And one of the things as I was playing around with it too, in estimates themselves, right? If you just go into any other estimate, you've got this option of wait, where'd it go? I saw it on this one, so now it's forever ruined. Here, I had
So
it
maybe
over here. You can send an estimate link, and they can accept it right there on the web, which I didn't even
I
know
didn't
this
know that.
before today either. But that will feed it back into that feed that it was accepted, but you can't sign the screen. If I hit accept here, which is already accepted, now
Yeah. I
caused
hope
some
it
kind
still
of
gets to that,
vortex.
right?
I've caused some kind of glitch in the matrix now by accepting it twice from two different places. But that's all it says is awesome. You've accepted this estimate, which anybody could have clicked on that. Not even so now there's no signature.
Because they don't even have like an IP verification. So the importance of what we're talking about with this is if there's so many different industries this could be used for, but really like service-based companies, field service, any of those type of things where you're going out, even as accountants, we go out, we talk, go meet with somebody. and we want to create a quote, and you want to like always be closing, right? So you try to create their proposal estimate right away, and you want them to sign it before you're leaving. Having the ability on a mobile device, it makes sense it's mobile first, because unless you're clunking your computer with you, I know it's just for laptops, but
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
it's not a touch screen.
yeah,
Excuse.
exactly. How do you do that part? And then the people still can't do it. Having that signature, it actually eliminates one of the major pain points. Like for me as an accountant, I have a whole different software I have to use to create my estimates, to get the digital signature, to get the contract before I can move forward. And this is
Right.
definitely a major step towards removing that roadblock.
Which only will work in this particular case if you are face to face with that person. So you can have that estimate pre-set up rather than sitting there and trying to plug away and create the estimate, which is typically the case in construction and those
Yeah.
contractor types of things, is that I got to go back and plug in the numbers. Maybe can't do that right on the fly. But if you do have things that have a set price and those types of things, you can just make it right in front of them, have them sign it, boom, you're done, and you're on your way. You can email it to them. You can do all that stuff right from the mobile device, right in front of your customer. One thing I didn't see in there was taking a deposit and those types of things, but to be continued on that, because I think there's potentially some things coming that will help with that.
Yeah.
Do you know of a way to take a deposit? I think I saw it somewhere. Now I may be dreaming.
And trying to pull it in against or something.
Right. Being able to take a deposit off of an estimate. That was
So
something in desktop this year with Enterprise, where you could do that and take an actual payment. But again, you'd have to be clunking your laptop and to be able to do that.
progress invoicing would be an interesting aspect of it. And in mine, I don't have when I was testing it earlier, I don't have progress invoicing turned on to have the ability. I don't think it had the ability to create a progress invoice. In other words,
You do.
another fancy way
Yeah,
of paying
you
the
actually
deposit,
do.
right?
Yeah,
A little different.
you can
You
create
do?
progress invoicing. That's on one of these on that screen, which I can't
Okay.
click on anymore.
Then deposit, my only challenge is I've never been a big fan of using the deposit line on an invoice anyways.
Right.
I know it's an extra step, but I've always preferred to actually save the invoice, have it signed, and then go and do the extra step of recording of payment against it as a deposit. It always works weird. And anybody who doesn't know this yet, never make a deposit exactly 50% for the exact same dollar amount. Make it off by a penny, even if it's 1 penny difference.
That way you know
Uh,
which one's the deposit
oh,
and which one's the actual payment.
your life will be so much easier, because then what ends up happening is you actually have the deposit on there. Then the bank feed comes through and is like, oh, I'm going to match their final payment. Oh, I'm all paid up. Oh, and then you miss half your money.
Right. Bad.
Yeah, exactly. Bad business owner. So
Yeah. So as far as the sales side of things, anything that you can do with customers, estimates, invoices, now we know with that additional get a signature piece is something that the QuickBooks Online app can do. And you got excited there for a second. Well,
yeah. So I think I may have mentioned it earlier, but I thought this was really cool. I want to draw attention to it. I'm sure you Android lovers out there have something comparable to this. Hi, Seth, David. Love you, buddy. But with Apple, for sure, when I was doing it and I was creating the invoice, it popped up and said, would you like to create a shortcut? Hey, Siri, create an invoice. Should probably wake her up first. Go, hey, Siri, create an invoice. And it will then pop up and make it to where I can start to create an invoice immediately. You could create but you can do the same thing for an estimate or a sales
Mhm.
receipt.
create
to-
your Siri shortcuts.
Yeah.
So that you can actually just talk to your phone. It would be, especially if you've got some detail oriented stuff to put in there, it'd be really hard to have that conversation. I can't have a conversation with any of the Alexas or Siris that involves more than 5 words, because then I start stumbling. I got to say it right.
Artificial intelligence will actually be great artificial intelligence when you don't have to learn how to use it.
Yeah, exactly. And then
Right.
I always love sorry, I didn't get that. Really? You're a machine and you're sorry?
And a little off topic, but I actually had ChatGPT tell me one time, you need to go do your own work. I was like,
Wow. I'm going to tell on you.
exactly. But so those shortcut things, I've always been a firm believer of the least number of clicks wins.
Mhm.
So having that kind of ability that you could be engaged in a conversation just real quickly. Hey Siri, create a new invoice. And then you could start and
Yeah.
doing it would be pretty nifty.
How cool would your client think you would be if you're like,
I'd probably do it, but like right now I'm actually still manually logging in. I'm just making sure everybody sees it. So everybody
Right.
thinks I'm that advanced. It's all magic is the key.
All right. So these are some of the cool things that you can do inside of the QuickBooks Online mobile app. If you didn't know these things are there, some of them are nice surprises, right? Like the signature squiggle sideways thing. So next week we're going to be talking about, actually next week will be a replay because I'm actually going to head up to New York City to hang out with Hector for a day. He's consolidating his reframe conference from 2 days into one. It's just happened to be up in New York, and I'm close enough to take a train. I'll be doing that next week, and after that, we'll talk about the expenses side of things in the mobile app. Matt, again, I appreciate you joining us here today. I know you got another webinar to do, squeezing us in on such short notice. I really appreciate you joining us today.
Happy to fill in anytime I can. And as always, here's wishing everybody a very successful week. Thanks.
All right, have a great day, everyone.